Howdy, ladies and gentlemen. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. I hope you were able to work on your goals today. I hope that you've got goals that you can work on. I hope that your life is at a place that you can decide on what you need to do to make things better. Yes, there are going to be times that you can't do that, but don't let it get you down. You can get to a point in which you can do so much more for yourself. So set goals. I was thinking about community today. Now, I grew up in a time before the internet and all this stuff. And we don't have nowadays all that ability. I know that sounds silly, but we seriously have a situation in this country where people don't actually pay attention to what's going on around them. Everybody is looking on their cell phones. Everybody is too busy trying to live this fast paced life because, according to the TV and according to everything you hear in the news, it's better if you work and do all this stuff. And then again, though, you've got inflation, and that's making it so that you just really don't have a chance to do a whole lot. But let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Get to the point where you're able to go out there and just enjoy life. Put down your phone, look around, figure out what it is that makes you happy. Now, a part of it is you need to figure out what it is you truly enjoy. Seriously, you need to figure out what it is you enjoy. You need to put down that cell phone. You need to quit looking at social media all the time and just take a walk. Get to know your neighbors. If you truly want change in this life, you do that by working with your neighbors. You get to know your neighbors, you get to know what they want in life, and you'd be surprised at the fact that so many people want the same things, they just go about wanting it in a different way. But everybody wants a little bit more freedom in their life. They don't want to always be told what it is to do. But we have companies that have decided they know what's best for you. We have a government that thinks that it's their job to interfere with your life and tell you what to do. But that ain't really what we need. We need less of that. We need to have the small businesses. I've talked about this before, but you need to start having farmers markets. You need to be going into these stores that are owned by your neighbors. Okay, they might not be your next door neighbors, but they're part of your community. You need to talk with everybody. I remember back in the day when you go to a store in the mornings, there was always a gas station or a convenience store somewhere, or even some communities, a fast food place where everybody would go in there. Yeah, they were getting their coffee and breakfast or whatnot, but it wasn't because they couldn't get that at home. That is where they would go to meet up with folks and talk. Now everybody talks on social media. Oh, this is how you talk to. No, that's not how. You need to get to the point where you have a group of people that you can trust. Not people on the internet, but people in your community. Go meet up for breakfast every morning. Go hang out at night. And you also need to hang out with your family. You need to get to the point where you have a community. A lot of the problems that we have today are made better when we're working together. And that's something that they don't want. You have these folks that I was reading the book by Cheryl Atkinson, Slanted. I'm still reading that. And she's talking about how these folks on the news are wanting it so that you only trust what they say. Never mind the fact that they're slanted, they have a narrative, as she puts it. The narrative, that's what she calls it, the narrative. Well, we need to stop having those folks be the ones that determine what's going on in our lives. We need to have a situation in which we're working as a community to take care of our community needs. We need a situation in this life where we don't have to worry about what's going on in the school system because those teachers are part of our community. The school board is part of our community. The mayor, all of those folks, all the folks that are helping out on your local level are part of your community. They're representing you, and that's what their job is. They're supposed to represent you, not be outside your community. We need to get to the point that our state legislators know that they're part of a community. Because if they know that they're part of a community, they ain't listening to these highly paid lobbyists that are trying to sway everybody. You know what's going on in your community because everybody's talking about it. Okay, yes, there are some folks that are going to spread rumors. That's going to happen. That's part of a community. You're going to always have those folks that you know are trying to take over and all this stuff. But we have a situation where we're moving away from having a community. I walk. I got done writing my article today, and I've gotten into this habit. I'll go write my article, and then after I get done finding what topic it is that I'm writing on, I'll go walking. And I'll pay attention to what folks are doing. 9 times out of 10, all I'm seeing are folks that are walking out of stores with their cell phones, and they're looking at their cell phones, supposedly smartphones. Well, the phones are smart, the people ain't so much. Because all they're doing is ignoring the rest of the world while they're seeing whatever's on TikTok or Facebook or Instagram or any of those kinds of websites. And it sounds all kinds of fancy and all that, but it's not really doing anybody any kind of good. I remember growing up, we had a teacher that you could get out of what we were going to be talking about in class by bringing up University of Tennessee football. We still learned, but we were a little wild, and we had no problems getting to know what was going on, but at the same time, we weren't so bored in class because we were talking about something everybody was interested in, football. Now, I'm well aware that the younger generation doesn't so much get into football. I have talked to folks that are a decade or more younger than me, and they talk about, oh, I grew up in these places, and we weren't so much into sports. Well, sports brought people together. Now you've got these participation trophies, but who cares about the participation trophies when you can just have a bunch of kids getting out there and their parents are meeting up with each other and they're enjoying, no matter what side their kids on, these parents are able to get together and enjoy themselves. I was listening to Charles Barkley. There's an interview that Charles Barkley did, and he said he goes into white schools, and most of the kids there are talking about wanting to be doctors and lawyers and whatnot. But he goes to predominantly black schools, and they're talking about they want to all play pro sports. How about we allow kids to just enjoy these games, because that's all they are, games. Because most of these kids that have these dreams of playing pro ball ain't got a chance. It's not because they ain't talented. It's because, well, you have a limited amount of space that are on these teams. Take baseball, like Charles Barkley talked about. There are only 400 players on these basketball teams. Pardon me, I think I said baseball, but I mean basketball. There are only 400 players on these on these NBA teams. And then throw in the fact that, yes, there's the G League that's got a few more, and you got the leagues overseas. There's a guy that I went to high school with that played overseas. He played down in South America. He played in Greece. He played all over the place. And really talented guy. But he was the only one that I know of from when I went to high school that got to play pro ball. Now, there's a kid younger than me that I knew his mama. He got to play pro football, and that was a big deal. But that's 2 out of the county. Now, mind you, the county I'm from had, I think the population was around 36,000 people when you added everything up, and you only had 2 people that got to play any kind of pro sports. That's just it. What are you going to do if you ain't playing pro ball? Okay, you put all that time into sports. Well, use it as a way to just enjoy life. A little bit of competition, you're healthy. It's a good thing to teach kids, hey, learn how to do all this because you're going to get in some healthy habits. But don't make it as a, oh, this is the only thing I can do in life. Seriously. There is far more to do. I enjoy writing. I actually enjoy working on computers. If y'all don't know what this is, I'm an A+ certified computer technician. And I've actually gotten to do some pretty fun stuff because of having that certification. And I had a lot of fun meeting a lot of folks having that certification. And we, as a nation, think that you need to have this fancy college degree to do all this stuff. I don't need a fancy college degree. Matter of fact, I've met folks that have an A plus certification that has a college degree, got it via college, that honestly, I'm just sitting there wondering what in the world they learned while they were in college. You learn more being a computer technician by actually doing the work. You want to learn, if you're somebody like me, how to do this stuff, and it ain't made better by you sitting there getting a degree that's going to be all kinds of expensive when what you can do is get that certification by working your tail end off a little bit, learning how to do that. Now, am I saying that college degrees are useless? No. But it's what you want out of that college degree. If you're just going to college to get a college degree, not actually paying attention, because these are young folks that are going to college. They don't fully, some of them don't know what they're wanting. They just going to college and they'll get a degree and then go, what did I get that degree for? I got all this debt. And a lot of these kids are getting these college degrees that it don't really mean anything. I know that sounds silly, but it's the truth. So many of these degrees aren't helping these folks do anything other than go into debt. They are learning all about debt. That ain't what we need to be having our kids do. They need to be working. Imagine just having the kids working around in a community for a while, figuring out what they want. And seriously, we need communities that have farms. We need communities that have folks that are technicians at whatever they do, people that do plumbing and electricity. Now, where I come from, yeah, a lot of people can do a lot of that work on their own, but it gets to a point where there's some jobs that you need some help. You need to call somebody that you can trust. Now, I knew somebody like that, and let me tell you, when he got to working on stuff, he'd sit there and do it, and it's like, holy cow. And everybody relied on him. You have plumbers or well pump installers. Yes, where I'm from, well pumps are very necessary. And these folks don't need a college degree, and they're living still pretty good lives. Okay, small business owner that's running he's an electrician. And he's doing his own work. Yeah, he's got all kinds of headaches, but he's still living pretty good. And then you got doctors. Doctors are no longer part of the community. And that's a bad thing. There was a feller I knew. I didn't meet him before his situation got bad. But there's this fella that worked hard, put a lot of time in doing the work, had a good family, everything was going good. Then he got hurt on the job. Well, they gave him some of this high-powered medication for his pain. They didn't monitor him. This was before all this these pain doctors and pain management folks and all that. This was before all of that. And so he wasn't given the kind of attention that he needed. He got addicted to the pain medication. And that addiction hurt him, hurt his family, just all around. And I say that doctors need to be part of the community because they really aren't anymore. Doctors being part of the community would have helped this situation because if the family doctor saw him on a regular basis, he would have seen what was happening and would have gone, we need to, why don't you come on into the office? Let's make some changes. Something ain't right. But instead, he was going to a company doctor, and this guy, what guy or female, I don't know what the gender was of the doctor, but this person didn't know what was going on in this guy's life other than for the visits. And he slipped out of life, and it was bad. And that's what we've got to have. We've got to have everybody that you see in your life. Your doctor needs to know what's going on in your life. They need to be part of the community. And that used to be the case in a lot of places. But government regulations caused them to have to do things differently. And because of all the weird stuff going on, doctors, the only community they have is other doctors and the nurses that they work with. And you also have, since the doctors are isolated from everybody, the pharmaceutical reps are able to come in there and have more of a say about people's health care than the patients themselves. And we need to change all that back. Now, I'm not saying that we need to go back completely. Yeah, there were some stupidities that happened in other times. But we need to have communities. You want things to get better, then the best thing that you can do is have folks that know what's going on in your life. Don't be stuck on social media. Don't be stuck looking at your phone. Put down your phone. I actually don't have a cell phone. I don't need to know what's going on 24/7. I don't need people getting a hold of me all the time. I want to just disconnect. And the perfect way for me to do that is not to have a cell phone. People are living their lives, and I don't need to know what's going on in their lives all the time. I ain't part of everybody's life that I am friends with on Facebook or other social media. So what do I need to know? Why do I need to go on there? Now, some of these folks, when I do go on Facebook, I'll be looking at the pictures and I'm like, holy cow. Now, some of these people ain't got the best things going on, but some of these folks have got some really interesting things going on. I have one person that's on my Facebook feed that will post pictures of the food that they're eating. And you're looking at it and you're going, wow, that's interesting. They know how to do some good cooking. But I don't need to know about that 24/7. I don't need to walk out of a store and not see somebody and run into them physically. And because I'm looking at a cell phone. But these folks seem to think that, hey, what's on that phone is more interesting than what's going on around them until they run into something or they get hit. That's like what is that, Pokemon Go? These folks were getting into wrecks. They were jumping in. They were going to play into places that they shouldn't go into. Seriously. You've got to, they had to put up signs at uh, zoos and such because people were trying to jump into the cages with these animals because there was some kind of Pokemon close by. I don't I don't understand that. I knew people that played the game, but it doesn't mean that I understand it. When did that take over for a community? Seriously. Now, yeah, we need to be paying attention to what's going on the national side because that's affecting us more and more every day. I sit there and I hear about these folks who in Washington, and I read up on these folks, and these folks are listening to lobbyists more than they're listening to everybody in their community. But then again, though, their community ain't really paying attention to them either. And while, yes, you want them doing the work that they're getting paid for, but everybody seems to think that the work they're getting paid for is what they're doing in Washington. No. Their job is to represent you and me and everybody else. And the only way that they can do that is if they're coming back home and interacting with you and me and everybody else. Them being in Washington does not do anything. All it does is that they're going to keep introducing bills to get passed that will continuously degrade freedom in this country. So if they're back home, they're listening to you. They're helping you take care of problems that only they can help fix because the government does weird things. You got veterans that aren't getting any kind of help. And that's what they're supposed to be doing. And they shouldn't be leaving it up to their staffers. Their staffers should be the one that's taking care of the office. But we, as a country, need to demand that we get to see our representatives more. At this point, you're interacting with their staffers. You're not interacting with the folks that are representing you. Those staffers are paid employees of the representative. Your representative or senator should have some knowledge as to what's going on in your area. Now, some of these states, it's a little difficult. I mean, you take a look at Tennessee. Tennessee has 95 counties. I'm pretty certain that the two senators from the state of Tennessee, even if they've had a chance to look around some of these counties, even if they've been in every single one of these 95 counties, they don't know people all that well. But that's what U.S. representatives are for. But then again, though, you've also got states like South Dakota or Wyoming where it ain't got enough population to have more than one U.S. representative. But they're still supposed to have some interaction. They should have far more interaction with you than they do with these lobbyists. They should have more interaction with you than they do with these national television reporters. But they don't. They don't know what's going on in your life. How many times, if you live in a state where you got more than one representative, and you've got a person that is from your area that is in Congress, how many times do you actually know them? Hey, let's go think smaller than that. Your state legislator. How many of you folks know your state legislator? Seriously. How many of y'all know your state legislator? You probably don't. Okay, let's go even smaller than that. How many of you know the person that's representing you in the county commission? Think about that for a second. Think about that. Because if you don't know the person that represents you in your county commission, they ain't representing you. And they're supposed to. School board member. Do you know your local school board member? Do you know anybody on the school board personally? Now, I'm not saying that you got to be friends with them, but do you know them? Do they know your name? That's what we've gotten away from by getting away from community. And it's silly that people have allowed themselves to get to that point. Honestly, it's gotten silly that we've gotten away from that point. For that matter, how are you represented in your life? Think about that. What representation do we have? You have, let's take an article that I was looking at. I go to see certain movies, or I'll watch it at home, and I loved Ghostbusters back in the day. Seriously, I love me some Ghostbusters. I even like Ghostbusters 2. I ain't seen the new Ghostbusters. I just really ain't paid attention to it. Seriously, I ain't. I'm wanting to, and I'm actually thinking about doing a Ghostbusters little marathon. I'm going to start watching it. Because there's only 5 Ghostbusters movies. That's 10 hours of my time. Because I'm wanting to see Ghostbusters 1 and 2 again. I was reading an article where critics and audiences are so far apart on the newest Ghostbusters. Now, I pulled this article back up. It said the original Ghostbusters had a critic score of 95, audience score of 88. Now, I'm wondering about that audience score because there were a lot of folks that loved that movie back in the day. Back in '84 when it came out, there were a lot of people that loved that movie. And then you had Ghostbusters 2. That's strange. That was strange. But it was still kind of fun. It wasn't something that you bragged about seeing, but it was still fun. And they're saying that the critic score was 55% and the audience score was 61%. Okay, they realized that they had messed up, but the cartoon was fun. The premise of the movie, while weird, was fun. It wasn't a you weren't expecting the story. Well, actually, you were. You were expecting the story that you got with the first one. A well written story that was just fun. It was not a well written story. It was fun, but it wasn't well written. And I'm not saying that the folks that put it together weren't trying. They missed the mark. They were trying to capitalize on popularity, and they didn't capitalize on intelligence. So then you got Ghostbusters Answer the Call, one that came out in 2016. I ain't sure I'll perfectly be honest with you. Let's see here. This is the one with Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, Katie McKinnon, and Leslie Jones. Well, I ain't really liked much of what Melissa McCarthy's been in. I just don't like her movies. I mean, she seems like she's got some talent. I just ain't taking a cotton to her movies. I like Kristen Wiig. I don't know anything about Kate McKinnon or Leslie Jones. Dan Aykroyd's in it, and Chris Hemsworth's in it. Let's see here. Who else is in it? Ernie Hudson had a role in it. Sigourney Weaver had a role in it. And Annie Potts had a role in it. Okay, so this all-female one. The all-female one. The critic score on this thing was 74%. And the audience score was 49%. Vast difference there. Well, not that vast, but it's enough of a difference that it kind of makes you wonder about these critics. And then Ghostbusters Afterlife, the one with the kids in it the couple of years back, 2021, 64% and 94%. So audiences loved it, while the critics are just like, "Oh, this isn't a good movie," and they were trying to kill the movie because you got a 64%. They're not trying to help the movie. But then you got this new one that's got Bill Murray showed back up in it, Ernie Hudson, Dan Aykroyd, all three of them showed back up for this movie, and it looks like Annie Potts is also in this movie. So I'm wanting to see it for that, because this is my kind of movie right there. You bring back some of the old folks, you got the new folks that are in it. That can be fun. You got the dude that played Ant-Man and a bunch of kids. And you bring back some of the original Ghostbusters. See, now that looks like it's fun. But this Frozen Empire one is at 44% with the critics and 85% with the audience. So you're telling me that critics have gotten to the point where it's better to watch the movies that they don't like and to watch the movies they do, you watch the movies that they don't like and don't watch the movies that they do like. Holy cow, even William Atherton's in this movie. The guy everybody loves to hate. I don't know if you know who William Atherton is, but seriously, folks, he's the guy that every role he plays the role of somebody that you dislike. He's good at it. Now, I liked him in there's a TV show called Life. He was still a pain in the rear end in that movie. And then you got him in the Die Hard series. Seriously, he plays these roles in a way that you just dislike him. He's that good of an actor. I want to meet him just for the simple fact of that he's so he has to be an enjoyable person in real life, because it takes that kind of person to be able to be that much of a pain in the rear end in every role that they do. Because he's having fun with it. He looks like he is, but see, I want to see that movie. That's why I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch. I'm even going to watch the female one, the Answer the Call one, because I ain't seen it. I don't know much about it. I've heard people that just dislike that movie. I mean, considering that the audience scores at 49%, but it's my childhood. In 1984, I was 8 years old when that movie came out. That's a good year. Not for book wise, but the year itself, 1984, was a good year. I mean, seriously, you don't have that kind of music anymore. Let's see here. 1984 music. I'm going to look this up here so y'all that don't remember that time period, um good lord, Michael Jackson did that. He was Thriller was from that time period. Uh well, I'm looking at it and they've got all kinds of weird stuff that they're talking about when I'm wanting's the music from that time period. Beat It was record of the year. Oh, good lord. E.T. came out before then, but they're talking about that there. Yeah, this is not a. Oh, Hello from Lionel Richie. I still remember that song. I'm not going to mess that song up for you. Um, but seriously, 1984 was a good year. Oh, Purple Rain came out that year. Prince Prince looked and acted a certain way, but he loved the women. Like, there are a lot of guys that were jealous of him. When Doves Cry, oh, that was a good time. I was a little young to be paying attention to all that, but let's see what else. Iron Maiden kicks off the World Slavery Tour in Warsaw, Poland. Now, Iron Maiden, that's a band right there. Red Hot, wow, I did not know this. Red Hot Chili Peppers came out that year. But do you remember, if you're old enough to remember 1984, you remember what I'm talking about when I talk about community, where people weren't looking on their cell phones all the time, where people were talking to each other. They knew who their state legislator was. Not only that, they probably had met their state legislator. You knew who your city council was. You knew who your county commission was, and you knew the person that represented you on those councils. Now, to prevent 1984, well, to stop 1984 from progressing any further, aka the George Orwell book, we need to go back to 1984. 1984 was a typo. I know that sounds silly, and I'm quoting a line from a funny movie, but it's the truth. We need to work on preventing what is going on. Our media needs to no longer tell us what to think. They need to listen to us. Our members in Congress, state legislature, county commission, or city council, they need to listen to us. We need to go back to where folks ain't paying attention to their phones, but paying attention to what's going on around them. And so, perhaps we do need to go back in time a little bit. We need to go back. Good Lord, that was 40 years ago. I didn't think about it until just now. How long ago that was? Oh, okay. Well, we need to go back to that. That wasn't 40 years ago. It was 30. 20, 20. Well, no, because it was almost 40 years ago. Actually, now I got to do some math. It would be 40 years ago. Good Lord. I'm not wanting to. My brain is going, no, no, you don't talk about that. No. Um, yeah, I'm feeling my age a little bit right now, just thinking about that one. Maybe I'm going to do a calculator thing here. Um, I got to do a calculator thing right here. I can't be. Uh, now I know it is. I do. I'm sitting here just feeling old. That's 40 years. Ugh. Ugh. I really am that close to 50. Ugh. Sorry. Ugh. The Olympics that year was a good Olympics. Mary Lou Retton, Carl Lewis. I talked about that yesterday. But I'm going to stop feeling old now. And okay, folks. I hope to God that this is not sounding like some redneck ASMR. Um, I'm on Twitter. I'm on Rumble. I'm on MeWe. I'm on Reddit as Redneck Thinker. To find me, find Redneck Thinker. I'm on YouTube as Redneck Thinker. Podbean, Redneck Thinker. Facebook, I got my own. My real name's being used on there because for some reason they don't tolerate you calling yourself a redneck on there. I don't know why. Um, my real name is Paul Shannon. Just look for the ramblings of Paul Shannon on there. That's my group. Go in there and you can look up what I'm doing. Um, yeah, I'm sitting here feeling a little old right now. I'm not that old, but still, to think about how long, think about that was 40 years ago, and not wanting it to be 40 years ago. Yeah, because that was good times. Uh, I'm on all those places as Redneck Thinker. Join up, read my articles. I'm on Blogspot. I'm redneckthinker.blogspot.com to read my articles. I have a book. It's under the Freedom VN. That's the other thing that I'm wanting to get going is visual novels that I'm wanting to get to a point that I'm doing visual novels that folks are able to enjoy that way. So I'm there under Freedom VN, Freedom Visual Novel. That's also my Patreon. My Freedom Visual Novel, if you go to itch.io, it is a independent, you can get independent games there. Look up Freedom VN, and you will find the only book I've got on there so far. It's my Founding Freedoms Primer. It's a compilation of what was written by the Founding Fathers on the Bill of Rights. On those topics, not specifically the Bill of Rights, but on the topics that were included in the Bill of Rights. And it helps you understand your Bill of Rights a lot better. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to step away from the computer and sit there and mumble to myself about all that stuff being 40 years ago. But I hope you have a good day. I hope things are you're able to figure out if you have things going wrong with your life that you are able to figure out what you need to do to fix it. But I will let you go. This is Paul, Redneck Thinker. Have a good day.